you guys, welcome to the Ranting Shop with me, Melissa. And today we're going to be talking about the final episode of Ready to Love Make a Move, the reunion part 2. And we left off where Ashley and Sherice were having an altercation. Really and truly, I think it was a situation where Sherice was having a disagreements with or sharing her thoughts and feelings, and I think Ashley kind of interjected, in my opinion, unnecessarily and escalated the situation, when I really just feel as if sometimes Ashley needs to just sit back and be quiet. And even if you disagree with somebody's perspective, there's a way of sharing that with them without making the situation escalate and turn into a bigger argument. So that's what took place there. I think throughout the reunion, though, Ashley's whole thing has kind of been like, oh, let me steal the scene and have a crazy reaction or response, or a crazy something. Like, that has been what she's been doing throughout, stealing attention and focus from, important things. But anyways, so we have Ashley. Kristen came on and he was like, I'm not saying anything. I have nothing to say about Ashley, nothing to say about this process, nothing to say about anything in that regard. I feel like he saw the season and he saw how he was portrayed, and he didn't like that. Now, this is an unpopular opinion, but what I will say is, you know how reality shows are. Sometimes they create drama that is not there. And I feel like that is what happened in the case of Kristen, where they, riled him up to be a particular way, but that's not who he was. So his response was more so to have a more defensive reaction to everything, because he felt like he wasn't portrayed in a light that is close to what he thinks of himself. So that took place. He left the stage, and I do feel like the women were being very, very much I wouldn't call them emotional, but they were being also very defensive as well, and they were telling him to leave if he doesn't want to say anything. So he leaves, and then we have the situation with Ashley talking about how she didn't want to relieve situations where she goes for the pretty boy and the this and the that, and it never works out well for her. We've heard her say this multiple times. Then they go into the Lakeisha and Ashley debate. Lakeisha being Donald's friend, who was kind of sticking up for him and just did not like, I guess, the energy of Ashley and the way she was speaking about Donald. I feel like the friend felt as if Ashley was trying to rule him and control him, and she didn't like that. And the reason why, nobody's shocked, but the reason why Donald didn't say anything to defend Ashley was essentially he agreed with what his friend was saying about Ashley. And that is essentially what he said. He said that he didn't like certain things Ashley said, and him defending Ashley would be double teaming her. But I don't think that was the thing. I think that he just agreed to what his friend was saying about Ashley. And that is what it is. At the end of the day, I feel like they're not compatible. Ashley is too much for him. I think he would be more interested in somebody that is similar in temperament as he is, and that is not Ashley. So they ended up just being friends, and I don't think anything else will come of it, to be honest with you. Then we have Sherice. They bring in Maurice and Mizelle. She said she found love with Maurice, but to be honest with you, I'm not convinced. I don't know if it's because Sherice has this hard face, but I just don't feel any love oozing from any part of her paws. Neither do I see it from Maurice. But I kind of understand it on Maurice's part, because he doesn't show much of any emotion. But for Sherice is like, girl, I'm not convinced. she's like, maybe she's not going back to Miami. I could care less about Sherice's love connection with Maurice, because it's nothing that ever made me feel compelled to root for them in any way, shape or form. But it's just interesting how Sherice is the one that is essentially been the successful one in this show. So then the Mizell situation came about, and Venisha was basically saying that, yeah, he was showing romantic interest in me, and he was still playing it off like, oh, that wasn't the initial thing. But Venisha was kind of feeling offended, like, I'm sick of you downplaying what you tried to do or what the connection you tried to form with me. Stop making it seem as if it wasn't that way. And that is exactly what it was. You kept contacting me, you showed me pictures, you shared certain parts of your life with me. You wouldn't do that unless you had a romantic interest in me. I understand Venisha's frustration with it, because it appears that he's still not being completely honest with the nature of his contact with Venisha. It may be because it doesn't look good, but I don't know. But he kept on saying that, it wasn't like Venisha was making it seem. A lot of viewers feel as if Venisha broke girl code by agreeing to go out on a date with Mizell. I don't agree. I don't think so. At the end of the day, if you're in a situation where you guys date each other's guys, what's the problem? I just feel like people try to make big situations out of nothing. So then we go into the Jabari thing. What that came down to was Jabari wanted a traditional woman. Venisha is not a traditional woman, and that is what it essentially was. Jabari, on the other hand, with him, it's like he felt hurt about the breakup. He felt like maybe they could have had a friendship after the breakup, but that didn't happen. And I think more than anything, he felt hurt. She was saying that she never felt like Jabari wanted her, and he said he didn't ever feel welcomed around Venisha. So I feel like it was a non-verbal communication issue, where Venisha was more so like, if you want me, show me you want me, and I will act accordingly. But Jabari is like, well, if you want me, show you want me and act accordingly. So I just feel like it's two sides of the same coin that just never ended up seeing how both of them could potentially be misinterpreting each other. Either way, it didn't go anywhere. Jabari is in a relationship, and Venisha seems like she's happy for him. Now we have Cam and Zadia. Now, he said he didn't have space, he didn't have capacity for love. But my thing about the whole thing with Cameron is, why did you come on this show? You knew this was a dating show. You knew this was a show to find love. But then you still came on it knowing you wouldn't have time to maintain a romantic relationship. That kind of irritates me. And the thing is, I'm seeing people reviewing it and giving Cameron a lot of grace, and I just am not gonna do that. I'm tired of women treating men like they're clueless babies, like they're clueless animals. They know exactly what they're doing. And they fool certain women every time, because these women feel like, oh, I have to defend him, I have to help him, oh, he's so sweet, I have to teach him. No, this man is a grown man, and he knows exactly what he was doing. He knew he didn't have the capacity for relationships or dating, and he still went on this show. So I think what this reunion let everybody see was that he came on there to promote his photography business, because he decided to give Zadia a gift of portraits and whatever the case may be. And that was a perfect way for, I guess, him to sell what his company, his business does on a national platform. And I feel like that had always been the goal for Cameron. Love was never the goal, you know. Venisha interjected and she was like, I'm busy. Like, I'm a mom of three and I have several businesses. But the point of the matter is, you make time for what you deem important. And you didn't think that this situation was of much importance to you. So, just say what it is. That is what it is, you know. So, he said some things that kind of was brutal, like he felt relief when the whole situation was over, and that just proves that you really did not have that much of a connection with Zadia. You were putting on this front because you wanted to stay on the show as long as you possibly could, because you saw the show as an avenue to advertise your business. It is what it is. Just be honest about it, okay? And he's talking about, oh, he knows what to do now, or he was trying to make it click, but it didn't click. And what made it even worse, he kept shooting himself in the foot the more he spoke. But what made it even worse was the fact that he opened his mouth to say he should be hiring or interviewing people for his business, but instead he's on this show and they need to wrap it up. I was like, wow, this guy, I don't know, maybe he's a nerd and he's just unable to have any tact. But that just came across very heartless and very brutal. And it made him look like an a-hole. I'm sorry. Other Cameron sympathizers, I just cannot agree with your stance. But anyways, now Camille and Stormy, these are the friends that came on to, you know, vet the men on behalf of the women. First, Camille spoke, and even though I think we all agreed with Camille and her take on Cameron, I feel like Zadia was still being combative in that she still didn't want to take Camille's perspective into her decision-making process when it came to Cameron. And it ended up making her look stupid at the end of the day, because she's the one at the reunion sitting there looking like a duck while this man tells her he thought it was a big relief that she left. So at the end of the day, I mean, you could say what you want about Camille, but she was very right on that stance. And Zadia made attraction cloud her judgment. Now the whole Stormy thing. Stormy's coming on the show, and I don't think Stormy watched the previous episodes, and we all know by now that when the reunion takes place, the whole season has not been wrapped up yet. Like, they've probably only shown 3-4 episodes. So Stormy probably didn't even see the scene that she had with Ashley and the guy. So she's coming in and everything is cool and everything is fine. And I feel like Ashley didn't prepare her either for what she was about to be, for what she was about to see, which is why Stormy looked like she was taken off guard. And they didn't edit her in the best way. They made her look like she came in to take Kristen. And Ashley played into that storyline, even if, according to Stormy, that was never the case. So I understand Stormy's frustration, and I believe her when she said that how it looks on TV is not how it actually went. Especially when we see the scene where Ashley gets up from the table and walks away. According to Stormy, that's not what happened. You know, it wasn't like she was so upset she got up and leave. Yes, they edited it in that way. Poorly, may I add. Very, very poorly, because it actually didn't even make sense for Ashley to get up, because she didn't seem angry, she didn't seem upset, she didn't seem any type of way, you know. And they made this storyline as if Stormy was trying to take Kristen. And I understand Stormy being hurt. She was completely blindsided. They made her look like a homewrecker. So she went off the stage. Ashley runs behind her. And it's like Stormy was trying to speak. And I feel like Ashley was trying to cut across what Stormy was saying. And I feel like she did that because she was trying to shut Stormy up and make it so that Stormy wasn't able to tell her truth, because Ashley knew that if people heard Stormy's perspective, they would question that scene and also question Ashley's authenticity, and Ashley didn't want that. So she's like, oh yeah, well, you should know that I'm a talker, and in that scene I wasn't even talking, but as Stormy said, after the scene, y'all had a whole conversation and you never ever shared that you were uncomfortable. You never shared that you didn't like that she and Kristen was having a conversation that made you feel a certain type of way. You never did that. But then on this reunion, you want to like try to ambush the lady. I thought that was effed up, to be honest with you, and I'm actually happy Zadia interjected and she was like, no, this has nothing to do with Stormy. This has everything to do with the fact that Ashley doesn't know how to communicate. When she feels the way she feels, instead of addressing it and speaking it to people and letting people know, she decides to keep it to herself and only let it out months later, blindsiding the individual that she felt a certain way about, and that's not a good way to communicate. So I'm happy Zadia interjected and told Ashley, no, you need to work on your communication skills. This has nothing to do with Stormy. As much as you are trying to make it be a Stormy thing and a Stormy issue, it was your fault because you never communicated that to Stormy. And I agree. So at the end of it all, Sherice is the one that ended up being the one that was in love or found love. Not that I'm not convinced, but yes, Zadia to me had the most dismal portion of the reunion. That was so embarrassing, right? So that was that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Ready to love the season, the show that we've fallen in love with. The original format is going to be back on our screen soon, and I'll also be back with you guys weekly to share my thoughts and feelings about that. Anyways, in the meantime, like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye bye.